Right, the time for business, and Sandra Fenu has joined me. Hello, Sandra. So
Hi.
the issue
Do you
has
have an
to do.
MTN shares?
I don't. Do you?
I don't either, but there's so much enthusiasm about the MTN
Well, there
shares.
was at the time. I'm not sure if that's the same now.
Yeah, today was their first AGM since it listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange, and the queue that was there, trust me, means Ghanaians are so much excited about the stock market.
Well, yeah, they will be going in there because they're shareholders, and so there'll be.
Want to know how much?
There'll be what, thousands of shareholders.
Right. So many of them. But
All right.
A lot of issues came up today, and we'll be talking about that in business. Hello, good evening. My name is Sandra Esenamappin. As always, I'm here for business. Now, shareholders of MTN are expressing mixed feelings about the performance of the company's share price on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Although some shareholders have welcomed a dividend payment of 3 pesewa per share, others are calling for higher dividend payment. MTN Ghana, however, recorded strong growth, with revenue increasing by 23.5%, driven by data and digital revenue.
At its maiden annual general meeting after the company listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange, shareholders say current share price and dividends can be improved upon to attract more investors or encourage a buyback of shares.
Difference, as in how we bought it now and what we'll be given at the end of the year. So I'm not quite happy about it, but we are looking forward to see a change.
We were okay, but that's why we asked a lot of questions that they should do something about it. So you're looking at them. All right, thank you very much.
They disappointed the shareholders. They started on the stock market with 78 pesos a share. It rose to 85. And people went out to the bank to borrow money to come and invest with them, with the view that they'll do very well and they can pay their debts with the banks. This thing went up to 93 pesos a share. Then lo and behold, it came down to 69.70. So how could a shareholder pay the bank's bill?
Meanwhile, board chair of MTN Ghana, Dr. Ishmael Yamson, in a response noted it is too early for the shareholders to raise such concerns, as this is the first year for the company after listing.
We are actually defeating the very purpose of making the shares available to small Ghanaians. Now you have encouraged all these small Ghanaians to save their money and invest on the stock exchange. Now, because the larger economy is having problems, the stock exchange is suffering, and now the small Ghanaian investor is losing confidence in the economy and in the stock exchange. So the Ghana Stock Exchange needs to be worried about what's going on. So that should be my brief. So as the question of buying back, I think it would be rather too short a reaction to take at this stage.
MTN, in its first listing on the Ghana Stock Exchange, recorded a remarkable performance last year, with mobile money contributing 17.7%.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive of MTN Ghana, Salom Ajadevo, is appealing to the National Communication Authority to be fair in pricing the available telecom spectrum for other players. According to him, MTN Ghana has expressed interest in acquiring additional mobile spectrum in order to improve its network services delivery to customers, but wants competitive pricing.
To really comment on what price we're willing to pay. All we can say here is we have to have fair pricing when it comes to spectrum. You know very well the price we paid when we acquired ours, and you know very well the price that was offered to Vodafone in the last bid. So for us, it has to be fair pricing, and until an offer comes out, we won't be able to predetermine what that is, but we're seeking that we're treated fairly with regards to pricing. I think the second thing as well is to understand that in all of these things, there has to be a valuation that's done on what spectrum is offered to you and what bands you can use for. And based on that as well, the value to us will determine how much we're willing to do. And until the offer is out, we can't do that exercise comprehensively, and therefore we'll have to wait for that. But we're seeking fair pricing in terms of the offer.
Away from the telecom sector, let's move to the aviation sector, where the Ministry for Aviation has hinted government's initial investment into the home-based carrier might go beyond the initial 10%. Per the initial agreement, government will hold 10%, Ethiopian Airlines 49%, and the remaining 41% to local investors. But with the clock ticking, Director Technical at the Aviation Ministry, William Ohen, said government may have to take a different approach for a takeoff.
In the 2019 budget, the finance minister indicated cabinet had given approval for the establishment of a home-based airline, which will commence operations in 2019. The setup, contrary to previous scenarios, was going to be private sector-led, with government holding just 10% shares. Ethiopian Airlines was selected as the main strategic partner with 49% shares, with the remaining 41% going to other investors. 5 months into 2019, Director Technical at the Aviation Ministry, William Ohen, said government may now be raising more than its initial 10%.
49% is actually for Ethiopian and other foreign investors. The 51, 10% will go to government, and the 41% to Ghanaian institutional investors as well as stock exchange. It's up to us to decide how much will go to stock exchange, depending on how many institutional investors express interest and are ready to participate. But having said all that, the process is long. They might not be ready. So what we're doing is to get Ethiopian ready, and the 51% will find a way of providing the liquid cash, the working capital, to start, so that we will take our time, build the confidence, and then the investors from the local content side would also come on board.
The airline, when set up, is expected to provide local, regional, and intercontinental services with a range of Bombardier and Airbus aircrafts.
We're starting with the two, what we call Q400s for domestic and sub-regional. It has a range of about 3.5 hours, and it's very efficient, fuel efficient. We're going to start with either Airbus or 737s that has a longer range for the regional. And then for the long hauls, we'll use wide-body aircraft like 787 Dreamliners or Airbus 330, or if God permits, 380s.
Meanwhile, as we await the takeoff of the home-based carrier, Mr. Ohen said an office for the carrier is almost set.
I've just come from the office where we're going to be running from, the registered office, all right? They are also putting finishing touches to the place. They're about 70% complete. By the end of this month, we take possession of the office. We brand it, put staff there, and Ethiopian Airlines is more interested in this than yourselves. So rest assured that we are working.
The setup of the home-based carrier is a vision by government to get an airline flying the Ghanaian colors after the demise of the two initial national airlines, Ghana Airways and Ghana International Airlines.
Let's do other stories now. And convener of the Third World Network, Dr. Yao Graham, has argued government's fight against illegal mining can't be won should livelihoods of poor communities engaged in the act are not improved upon. Speaking at the National Conference on Artisanal and Small-Scale Mining in Ghana, Dr. Graham is advocating government's multi-sectorial mining integrated project to deal with the root causes of illegal mining and not just the illegality.
Now, the conference, Executive Director of the Third World Network, Dr. Yao Graham, noted that government fight against illegal mining cannot be won if the poor livelihood of communities most engaged in the nefarious acts are not improved upon.
Already, farmers are allowing Galamsey people to dig up their farms because when they look at the economic return, it is better than farming. Now, you can sit in your air-conditioned office driving a government-provided four-wheel drive and make moral judgments that people should not be giving their farms up to be dug. But if you were in those shoes, you probably made the same economic choice. Now, that is not to say they are not breaking the law. It doesn't mean they are not breaking the law. But the point that we made in this conference, that this is the third offensive against illegal gold mining. Each time, since the thing started from Kufuor's time, the amount produced by illegal miners has increased. It must tell us that surely. Whilst it's important to enforce the law, if you don't find the root causes of illegal behavior, you can't solve it.
National Project Coordinator for the Multi-Sectoral Mining Integrated Project, MMIP, of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Dr. Isaac Kakari, outlined some measures government is taking to address this situation. He says $3 million out of a World Bank facility has been earmarked under the Multi-Sectoral Mining Project for alternative livelihood programs for mining communities.
Now, one of the things that we're going to do is that the baseline will, for instance, tackle the issue of alternative livelihoods, tailoring the communities themselves. So we have to go to the ground and begin to let them tell us what they want to do other than mining. So that when you ask them to do that, they are more likely to do what the program.
The National Conference placed a spotlight on the role and place of gold and salt mining, looking at the policies that govern the sector. Despite various interventions by governments to curb the menace of illegal mining across the country, stakeholders at this national conference believe the causative to illegal mining, which is poverty across all boards, must be the major issue to be addressed by government moving forward. I'm Charles Ide for Joy Business.
All right, Israel, that's all for business with me for now. But I'll surely be back after 8 p.m.
Yeah. And what are you coming back with?
Yes, de-dollarization of the economy. People are still quoting in dollars.
Yeah, rents in dollars and all that.
Yes, even local designers are quoting in dollars.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So when I come back...
how many dollars did you buy your dress?
This one is not made in Ghana, so...
That's the more reason why.
Yeah, so when I come, I'll be talking about all that.
Thank you very much, Sandra.